am Lee Kinvey. I am the intern minister at the First Parish Church of Groton, Massachusetts. I use they, them pronouns. Reverend Aaliyah Kemmler and I are so glad that you're here. This is a community seeking to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world. Unitarian Universalism is indeed a faith for all. So whoever you are, whatever country you come from, whoever you love, whatever you've done, whatever your beliefs, abilities, challenges, gifts, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. Our spiritual community is vibrant and alive here in Groton, Massachusetts, and also with members and friends across the country. So if you'd like more information about First Parish and our programs, events, and small groups, please email us at welcome@uugroton.org, and we will be thrilled to get you connected. We have absolutely learned through the COVID-19 pandemic that our sanctuary isn't confined to any building. We co-create it in so many ways. These days, we are worshiping outside at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings in front of our meeting house, so some of the service you'll see here was filmed there. This Indigenous Peoples Day week, we are talking about community, and we're thinking about to whom we belong and our relationship with land and this land. So whenever and wherever you're joining us from, we sure hope that you'll just come on in and rest a while, receive hope and strength. You're so welcome here.
And has become our tradition, I will ring our meditation bell again. Invite us to breathe deeply, to remember that we are whole, that we belong wholly upon this earth, and that we are held in the tender love that will not let us let each other go. This first bell is for you. The second breath and bell are for those you love. And the third for our whole world. Now is when I'm supposed to introduce the opening song, but instead I'm hijacking the microphone for a bit. About 260 months ago, First Parish of Groton made a monumental decision to call a minister who knows deep in her bones how to guide us toward love. Over and over again, the celebration of Aaliyah's 20 years at First Parish of Groton started during 2020, and we're going to carry it on just a bit today with a song and a presentation. What? You ready with me? That kind of human makes the world go round. Clap your hands, slide, slide. Time after time, doesn't she take the time to listen to your troubles, to make a good connection, to tell you that she cares for you deeply. That kind of human makes the world go round. Clap your hands, slide, slide. Time after time, doesn't she take the time to listen to your troubles, to make a good connection, to tell you that she cares for you deeply. One more time. That kind of human makes the world go round. Clap your hands, slide, slide. Time after time, doesn't she take the time to listen to your troubles, to make a good connection, to tell you that she cares for you deeply? That kind of human makes the world go round. It is my honor to invite Donna Nowak to come up for a special presentation. And it was a surprise. I thought I got away. I thought we were done. I thought I got away. No.
May I take this off?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So, remember before the pandemic, we were sitting in church, you know, that time right before the chime comes when there's all this intensity and everybody's getting all this connections happening and committees and how are you and all this stuff, and it's so intense and so positive, and I got a tap on the back of my shoulder from the always delicious Pat Hartvickson, who said, Donna, the Aaliyah's 20th anniversary celebration committee is thinking about making a scrapbook for Aaliyah, and would you be interested? And I immediately said yes, and immediately, as my brain went, I said, but could I, instead of a scrapbook, which to me, nothing against you scrapbook people, it's just a compilation of things, could I do it Donna style? And of course, Pat said yes. So I've been working on this and thinking about this and thinking about how to do it and thinking about 20 years and what is 20 years and does this 20 years of Aaliyah, and I think she would be the first one to say no. It's 20 years of her ministry. And what is her ministry? Well, I think her ministry is us, because her ministry has guided us to do the ministry of the church, to be a blessing to the world. Her ministry is about the heart and soul of us, especially, and I know you'll agree, the children, so that we can go out and reach beyond any ideas that we thought about ourselves. It's about our heart and our soul for sure, but it's about our minds, how we stretch our brains, and what we can do and what we have done and what we will continue to do with our hands. So having said all that, Aaliyah, would you like to stand up? I would like to present to you this book of your ministry. And before you say anything, I have a few more words. Go ahead, open, look around. 21 years ago, I had the privilege of being the person who made the program, again, outside of the box program for Aaliyah's installation. You remember it was big and it had cutouts of doors and there was lace and there were twigs and it was all kind of crazy. I received many, over 1,000 photos. Initially, in pouring through them, one just hit me, bang, and it was taken by Bob Lotz, who has taken so many beautiful photos. And I knew what the beginning was for this wonderful book. It is a picture of a small child inside the East Wing, but looking out the door. This child just has the door open a little bit, and he's just peering outside, and you can see the blue sky outside. And it reminded me immediately of that program that I made for Aaliyah when I sat with her, and she was brand new, and I said to her, what do you like? What are your colors? What are your songs? What are you this? What's your favorite poem? And she came up with one from Anne Hillman. And that is on the first page of this book. And Aaliyah, because that poem will always be us. I would love it if you would say it out loud.
We stand at a new doorway, awaiting that which comes, daring to be human creatures, vulnerable to the beauty of existence, learning to love.
Back to what I'm supposed to do. We get to sing together. If you prefer a little more distance when you're singing, feel free to move around. Our opening song is Building a New Way. The lyrics are based on words by Ella Jo Baker. Born in 1903, Ella Baker was absolutely a national treasure for more than 50 years, a very influential Black leader, civil and human rights activist. So the lyrics are on your sheet, and our wonderful leader of song this morning, Mary Timmons, will lead us. And please rise in body or spirit. Thank you.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please be seated. Kristen Moffitt, would you love to come up and light our chalice? Fabulous. Thank you.
Good morning. They don't have Catholic churches in Virginia? Good morning. My name is Kristen Moffitt. I grew up in Brockton, Massachusetts, and my brother and I went to the Catholic high school in Brockton as my mom did not want us to go to Brockton High School. Although I learned a great deal about how to be a human being during my 4 years there, the loudest lesson I learned was I didn't want to be Catholic. I moved to Virginia to attend graduate school at UVA, and while there, I went to many other religious services to decide what religion I wanted to be. As any good educator, I did research. I danced at the Baptist celebration, bowed my head and touched my book to the Torah, and shared hugs with the UUs. I purposely, and with eyes wide open, chose to be a UU. My father's response, they don't have Catholic churches in Virginia? I loved my parish in Virginia, and when I moved home, I loved my parish in Easton, and when I moved to Groton, I joined this wonderful parish. A few weeks ago, on our first day back, I sat next to a woman who was visiting us for the first time, and she asked me how long I had been a member of this congregation. And I paused and I said, wow, 20 years. But I spent multiple of those 20 years actively avoiding church. I was mad. I was whatever word worse than mad. Not at this wonderful church, but with my idea of God. See, he took the most important person in my life. He took her viciously 16 years ago this Tuesday, and I was mad. I was madder than the child who doesn't get the toy. I was madder than the person whose flights get delayed. I was madder than the world when Hillary lost. I was mad. But, you know what? You all waited for me. You were here when I was done with my tantrum. You were here when I decided I was wasting my time being mad. You were here when I decided that I may never understand, and I needed to defer my understanding of why I lost her. You were here. This is the joy of being a UU. This is the joy of having people who accept you for what you bring at the moment you bring it. This is the joy of this parish. So I light the chalice today for this community. I light the chalice for the people we grieve. I light the chalice for being mad and allowing ourselves time to stomp our feet and move past it. I light the chalice for all of you.
Okay, it is time for a story, but first let's say our words for gathering. We are Unitarian Universalists with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands ready to help. So our story today is called The Other Way to Listen by Bird Baylor, with pictures by Peter Parnell, but because we don't have the pictures with us, we get to imagine it in our mind. It goes like this. I used to know an old man who could walk by any cornfield and hear the corn singing. Teach me, I'd say when we passed on by. I never said a word while he was listening. Just tell me how you learned to hear the corn. And he would say, it takes a lot of practice. You can't be in a hurry. And I'd say, I have time. He was so good at listening, he once heard wildflower seeds beginning to grow underground, and that is hard to do. He said he was lucky to have just been by himself up there in the canyon after a rain. He said it was the quietest place he'd ever been, and he stayed there long enough to understand the quiet. I said, I bet you were really surprised when you heard those seeds. But he said, no, I wasn't surprised at all. It seemed like the easiest thing in the world. Another time, he heard a rock kind of murmur good things to a lizard. I was there. We saw the lizard sunning on the rock, so of course we stopped. And the old man said, I wonder how that lizard feels about the rock it's sitting on and how the rock feels about the lizard. He always asked himself hard questions. So we leaned against another rock to listen, and a long time passed, and then he said to me, did you hear that? They like each other fine. I said, I didn't hear a thing. He said, sometimes everything being just right makes a kind of sound. Like just now, it wasn't much more than a good feeling I heard from that rock. Were you surprised to hear it? Not a bit. I wish I heard it. He said he thought I might one day. He told me how a friend once heard a whole sky full of stars when they were 7 years old. And later on, when they were 83 years old, they heard a cactus blooming in the dark. He said most people never hear these things, and I said, I wonder why. And he said they just don't take the time you need for something that important. And I said, I'll take the time, but you have to teach me. And he said, I'd like to teach you. But the thing is, you have to learn it from the hills. You have to learn it from the ants and the lizards and the weeds. They do the teaching. Can you just give me a clue how to start? And so he said, do this. Go get to know one thing as well as you can. It should be something small. Don't start with a mountain or a whole ocean. Start with one seed pod or one dry weed or one horned toad or one handful of dirt or one small sandy hill. And I said, I'll take the small sandy hill. He started with one tree. Every morning of his whole life, he climbed a cottonwood tree and sat there listening. He told me it was worth the time and that trees are very honest and they don't care much for fancy people. He said he doesn't know if anything he ever did in his life was as important as sitting in that tree. Tell me everything you can, I said. He said, well, you have to respect the tree or the hill or whatever you are with, like a toad, for example. If you think you're better than that toad, you'll never hear its voice, even if you sit in the sun forever. Don't be ashamed to learn from bugs or sand or anything. I won't. He thought of one more thing. It's good to walk with people, but sometimes go alone. That way you can always stop and listen at the right time. I'll remember everything, I said, and I did, but nothing worked. I thought there must be something wrong with me because every day when I went walking in the hills, I could only hear wind and birds and coyotes, just the things that everyone could hear, and I almost gave up trying. Of course, I still went walking in my hills. In fact, I used to sing to them. I thought since they wouldn't sing to me, I would just sing to them. So the day I'm telling you about now, I was singing, and the whole song went like this. Hello, hills, hello, hills, hello, hills, hello. Well, that was after I'd been away for 5 days, and I had missed those hills. And I went out earlier than usual, and you know how everything looks new at sunrise? Well, those hills were looking new. And that morning, I kept thinking, here I am. And whatever way I happened to go seemed like the right way. I climbed the rocky side, which is steeper, but I like it best, and I stood at the top, looking down and singing, hello, hills, hello, hills, hello, hills, hello. And all I know is suddenly I wasn't the only one singing. The hills were singing too. I stopped, and I never listened so hard in my life. And of course, their kind of singing isn't loud. It isn't made of words. You couldn't write it down. It came straight up from those dark lava rocks humming. It seemed to be the oldest sound in the whole world. And all I can say as I was standing in the middle of that sound at sunrise, just thinking, here I am, and not even being surprised. It seemed like the easiest thing in the world. The end.
Our reading this morning is by Starhawk, and it's entitled Community Means Strength. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of it from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing. A circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free. That ends our reading, and we will be sung into prayer this morning by joining Mary in There Is a Love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
Will you breathe with me into the place in your body that knows love? The place in your body that knows what it feels like to be loved. I call on the luminous, loving energy that thrums in us and between us, known by many names. Sometimes people call it God. We offer such gratitude for everyone gathered here on this virtual worship service, anytime you are here. Our capacity to weave church through virtual means out of thin air is a blessing. And I call on the love in and between us to also remember all those who came before us. Each of us sits or stands or lies down right now on some small spot on the earth. Maybe you are where you happen to be right now for the very first time. Maybe you're there for the many hundredth or thousandth time. Cast your mind back to all that happened on your little piece of earth in the last 20 years. All the conversations, all that happened in the 20th century on that little piece of earth. All that changed. All that happened where you are through the 19th century, through the 18th and the 17th. And can you imagine anything of what happened exactly where you are right now in the 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th centuries and beyond? What was there? Who was there? Before European settlers brought the idea of land as commodity, with the concept of individual land ownership. That concept was as absurd to the people living where you are right now as the idea of individual ownership of air or sunshine. Together, we hold the tiny and at times deeply painful, tender bits of knowledge that we have of the ways some of our forebears behaved and the damage and devastation they caused. May we have all we need to maintain our gentleness, our courage, our humility, and our hope, moving forward toward right relationship with this land and with the descendants of the native people who collectively owned it for thousands of years before anyone else arrived. We also extend to our particular community individual prayers and love today for Pamela W., who is beginning her recovery from back surgery this week, to Karen A. and her family, Greg, Margot, and Leo, and her extended family, to Mary T.'s mother, Janet, to Mary's daughter, Jen W., to Ellen A.'s nephew, Davin. We extend our love and wishes of healing to Bob's sister Anne, Jackie's mother Sandy, our prayers to Carol's sister Lois, to Christopher, Doris, Wendy, Mark's nephew Jeremy, and Bob S. And prayers of strength for Paul and Lindsay Funch, who are both running in the Boston Marathon on Monday. Each of us holds prayers and celebrations in our hearts that we bring. We bring these to the spacious grace of this community and this moment. We hold these knowing that the sanctuary that holds them with us is not constrained by physical distance or by linear time. Invite you now to take time to name for yourself whom and what you are holding, to name your joys and your concerns.
So our next song is the song called We Shall Be Known by Ma Muse. It is a song about community. So Lee and I are going to lead this one. We'll sing it once through with just the melody so that you can really hear it. And then if the harmony gods are willing, we'll add a little bit of harmony, and we'll sing it 2 more times through with some harmony. So will you rise in body or in spirit? And the words are on your pink sheet.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. One more time. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Wonderful. Please be seated. So these words by Victoria Safford are words I return to again and again. Whose are you? Who carries you in their heart and thinks of you, whether you think of them or not? Whose are you? Who are your people? Who is within your circle of concern? Whose are you? To whom are you responsible, accountable? Whose care is yours to provide? Whose are you? When you look in the mirror in the morning, whose bones do you see? Who are the people stretching back in time beyond memory? Where did you come from? Whose are you? When you walk out of your room, out of your house, into the sunlight of the day, to whom in this wide world do you belong? By whom are you called? Whose are you? At the end of the day, through the longest night in the valley of the shadow of death and despair, who holds you in your going out and your coming in, your waking and your sleeping, who, what, holds you in the hollow of its hand. Whose are you? I love that question. To whom do we belong? Not in the sense of ownership or possession, but in the sense of connection. To who or what or where are you tied by those strong and sturdy threads of love? By whom or what are you held? Where do you come from by history or circumstance, by country or ocean or water? And maybe the most essential question, who or what or where have you chosen? Who or what or where have you chosen to belong to? When I ask myself these questions, the first answers come fast and seem easy, and maybe yours do too. I am my children's, my spouse's. I am my mother's and my 5 siblings. I am yours. I belong to this faith community and you belong to me. I belong to this town where I live, but maybe I also belong to the cows on Gibbet Hill, the ones I have watched outside my office window for 21 years. And since the average lifespan of a cow is 18 to 22 years, which I know because I looked it up, they may even be the very same cows as they were when I first arrived. Whose are you? If I keep asking, the answers continue. Well, maybe I belong to the hill itself, which I have climbed with my children numerous times when they were small and then bigger. I belong to the walking trails in Groton Place, where I spent countless mornings walking 2 different dogs, both beloved, both now gone. I belong to the landscape and seasons of New England and the Atlantic Ocean and the beaches at Plum Island where I grew up. I belong to my grandparents who were born in this country and my great-grandparents who were not. I belong to the Jewish people, but probably I particularly belong to the questioning ones who weren't sure that God is found in adherence to religious laws. I belong to the Junitarians, as some of us call ourselves, and to my distant relatives in Poland and Germany who did not survive the Holocaust, whose names I do not know. And like all of you, my answers could probably go on for a very long time. Where does belonging begin and end? Who and what does belonging include? You have taught me that the answers are not limited to people. Many of you share your deep love of animals here, your sense of belonging to your dogs, your cats, your chickens, to Aslan and Diva. But you also share your love of wild animals. Some of you speak of robin and deer and backyard bear sightings as if they are glimpses of the holy, which of course they are. As if they are visitations from beloved relations, which of course they are. I preached about trees sometime during the pandemic, and I don't remember a single word I said, but whatever I said, it inspired some of you to send me photographs of your favorite trees. And I was so moved by this. You have favorite trees. I bet some of you have favorite hills and mountains, favorite walking trails and forests and rivers, and that you belong to these too. On this Indigenous Peoples Weekend, it is a good thing to think about our belonging in terms of the land and how we belong to the land we live on, or the land we came from, rather than it belonging to us. Such an important difference. I can't compete with that. I just can't. Yeah. Yeah, we belong here. We belong downtown. Some Unitarian Universalist congregations and other organizations have started doing what are called land acknowledgments at the start of their worship services or public gatherings, and maybe you've heard them. Land acknowledgement is a traditional custom that dates back centuries in many Native nations and communities. And today they're often done to recognize and honor the indigenous people who are the original stewards of the land that most of us live on. They are a way to at least begin to correct the history that has been preserved and taught, that history of colonization and violence and broken promises and forced dislocations. So a land acknowledgement for First Parish might begin by recognizing that this land is at the confluence of the Nashua and Squanicook rivers, and it was originally known as Petapawag, which means swampy river, and that this is the homeland of the Algonquin-speaking Nipmuc and Nashua tribes. But as I'm learning, land acknowledgements aren't just words. They're a lot more than that. To create one is a process which includes a lot of historical research, learning about who lived here before the European settlers came and how they lived and what happened. And when possible, the process includes making relationships in the present time with the Native people who are still and were always here. It involves a commitment to support local organizations like the Native American Cultural Center at Devens. It involves honoring the cultures, the creativity, and the resilience of indigenous communities. We have not yet even begun that work, though I hope we will start it soon. And if you're interested, please let me know. One of the homework assignments of the Writing Your Spiritual Autobiography class we have here is to write a poem called I Am From. Each person takes that prompt and just keeps answering it. I am from. I am from. It is powerful and poignant, and it produces beautiful poetry from people who swear they are not poets. But we could do it with the question, whose are you? Whose are you? Just keep answering it until you run out. You can consider this your spiritual homework assignment for the week. Extra credit given if you send your poems to me to share. Religious community is a place to practice belonging. It's a place to practice being welcomed in and accepted for who you are right now. A place to practice taking and retaking your place in the circle, filling that spot that was empty and waiting for you and needed exactly and only you to fill it. And it is a place to practice the other part of belonging, which is just as important, and it starts on your second Sunday here. The part where you help others to know that they belong too. Not because of who they are, or what they do, or what they believe, but because they are here, whether in body or in virtual presence these days. Belonging to this faith community is very, very easy. And I am so proud of you for that. If you come, you get to belong. You get to call us your we. But it is also very challenging for exactly the same reasons. Because that we means all of us. And our messy, imperfect, gorgeous humanity. Starhawk puts it so beautifully. We are all longing to go home. And somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter, and voices will celebrate with us. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends. Someplace where we can be free. So will you rise as you are able, and let's sing together our closing hymn, which is Give Light, and Mary will lead us.
People will find the way. and people will find the way. Sing out, and people will find the way. People will find the way, I do believe. Give light, and people will find the way. Give light, and people will find the way. Give light, and people will find the way. People will find the way, I do believe.
So will you remain standing as you are able, and put one hand on your heart and with the other reach out, and let's look around at one another's beautiful faces. And know that we are tied together by strong and sturdy threads of love.
Go in peace and know you are a blessing to this world.